And good evening. Welcome to the Presenters Series. Can you believe it? IACT, IMDHA, and the HypnoExpo. We do this every single year, and it's that time again. A sneak peek at the pre and post-conference events before HypnoExpo coming up May 19th, 20th, and 21st. I trip up because I have a 2-day workshop ahead of that, but you don't hear about that until next weekend. First, let's talk to the big wheel. We have a chance to hear right now from Robert Otto, our CEO, and tell us all about HypnoExpo. Bob, it's just so cool. I can't wait.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say about this year's HypnoExpo is that we have a fantastic lineup. I'm really happy and proud of the lineup that we have of speakers and workshops. It's going to be a great one. It's going to be great. We have some really fine entertainment, and that's about all I'm going to say at this point.
Well, what I want to say is that is it a great venue? The name of the hotel. Give us the name of the hotel, the location of the hotel.
I'm having a hard time hearing through this thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. I'm not going to put you on the spot for anything else. We're at the same hotel as we were last year.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Yep. Doubletree SeaWorld.
Yeah, right by SeaWorld. I'm sorry, Robert, say it one more time.
It's at the Doubletree SeaWorld.
Doubletree by SeaWorld. And
by SeaWorld.
It really is a very nice venue. Go ahead.
That's really a fabulous location. I mean, we've been in Daytona Beach for years. And we went to Orlando because a lot of people said it was easier for them to get a direct flight into Orlando versus Daytona. And we went to that venue. I think Michael took us there, and we absolutely fell head over heels in love with it. It's just so spacious, and it's probably some of the best staff that we've ever had at any conference. The staff is outstanding, right, Mike?
Right. It's absolutely.
Yeah, really good.
It's a wonderful conference. The HypnoExpo is a big deal every year. And not only are there presenters from all over the world passing along information, sharing information, networking, the Ottos, Robert and Linda Otto, know how to put on a conference. And they have the most beautiful staff lineup at the welcoming table I have ever seen. They started breeding their own staff, I want you to know. And one of those beautiful beauties is their daughter. It's a family affair, and it runs like a charm. You got to join us at the HypnoExpo. Now, Robert, I know that you're having some trouble hearing. If there's anything else you'd like to share with us, I'll turn it over to you. But otherwise, I want to hear from Michael Watson, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Michael. Go get him.
And you're welcome to stay with us. Roy Hunter will be coming up at the top of the hour. But Michael Watson, I've known Michael for some time. I owe a lot of my career to this man and a lot of my learning too. He is a very, very dear friend of mine. Michael Watson is the principal trainer for IACT and a diplomat of IMDHA. He's been in professional practice for over 40 years. He started when he was 5. In 2017, as the virtual hypnotist, he's trained hundreds of therapists to take their practice online. And it is thanks to Michael that I didn't lose a day of business during the pandemic, because I was already working online as he trained us to do. A master practitioner and trainer of NLP, he has been involved in the community since its inception. He's the creator and, along with yours truly, the co-host of the association's virtual chapter, a monthly online community of hypnotists and other change workers. That's the second Tuesday of every month. Michael is here with us now on center stage because he will be doing a pre and post-conference event, Master Trainer Certification Training. What a big deal, Michael. What's it all about?
Well, my gosh, it is in fact the training that qualifies people to become certified master trainers for IACT and to certify hypnotherapists through the association. And it's just a program that I am so excited about. I got to tell you, first of all, I really do love this venue, and I actually I love it enough And this may sound pathetic. I realize in retrospect what I'm about to say may sound pathetic to some people, but it was perfect for my lifestyle. Christmas Day this year, I went out to our hotel venue for a lunch buffet because I know that they had this lovely spread there, and it was just, me and my other half. And instead of cooking all day, we thought, what a wonderful thing, and we weren't disappointed. So yay for the folks at the DoubleTree. But the CMT training really is something that we think of it as a training, we promote it as a training, and I would like to suggest that people that are considering it or thinking about it, that it's actually only the beginning. It isn't, now I've taken this training and now I'm a certified master trainer, but in fact, to me, it's about the entrance into a community. And the training community through IACT is just superb. I inherited this job from George Bien, who did it for years and years, and has certified so many people. And I guess finally it became time for him to decide to sit back and relax for a while. Not something that I'm ready to do just yet, but give me another 6 months. And
Hey,
no, not that soon. But so when I started it, there were already a whole lot of people that had been certified through George and through George's curriculum that are a part of this community, and we're really just beginning to sort of draw them in to the folks that have been trained by me over the last few years. I was lucky enough to get prepared to do this, only to find 6 weeks before the conference in 2020 that that we were shut down, and we were and we were going online. So we did it in 2020 online. We did it in November 2020 as well, the master trainer training online. We've done it about 5 times now, but only once, and that is last year at the conference did we finally get to do it live. And here's the thing for me. This weekend, there's a couple of people in the call here, in fact, who were with me. I've been doing a local training here in Orlando for the last, it just had a 4-day weekend, and we have a couple, modules and things. There is nothing better, than spending your time in a room full of people and sharing with them something that they're really interested in hearing about, and you can get groovy and hang out together. And the thing that I notice is that a lot of folks, when they approach training, they're like, oh God, I'm not going to know what to say. This is so difficult. It's so challenging to, stand in front of a room all day and talk about something. Well, in case you didn't know, my father, by the way, some of you who are young or younger than I am probably won't get this. My father used to say, I think that Michael was vaccinated with a phonograph needle. Some of you don't know what a phonograph is, so I appreciate that you may not get it. But I have no trouble. Putting one word after another, and that's good for me. But the thing is, it's just wonderful to be engaged that way with people that share an interest with you. So I am so blessed to be in this position in the first place. And I think there are other people who would like to experience that blessing in their own work. And the way to do it is to become a master trainer through IACT and start running certification programs of your own, and spending your time around people who similarly share the same interest. And I wonder if anybody out there, if you're scared of public speaking, I have to tell you the most important thing I ever learned. And it was like, I had to have a V8 afterwards. That's all I can say about it, because, I fussed and fretted and wondered if I'd, be good enough and stuff like we all do when we approach a task like this. And one day somebody said, Michael, everybody in the audience wants you to do a good job. I'm like, oh my God, it hadn't occurred to me. And of course they do. They didn't show up because they want to have a miserable experience of a lousy trainer. So when you really sort of appreciate the relationship that you can have with an audience, it just becomes a wonderful sharing. And so my experience is I get to spend time hanging out with people that I really love to hang out with. in terms of the doing of the work. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't, a whole lot of stuff to do in that process. So for instance, I mentioned the community, and there's a little benefit, and Robert, I don't even know if you know about this yet. We've talked about it in the past, but coming up in April, I'm gonna be sending out a mailing really soon to all the people that are already CMTs. Coming out in April, we're going to have an evening, a community powwow, to
Nice.
just continue to stay in touch and find out, what else is it that we can offer you in order to,
Definitely.
in order to support you as a trainer, and what can we share with each other to sort of supplement one another. It's really kind of a nice idea that when you get done with this, you don't only have what you started out with and what we gave you in the trainer training, but you have an ongoing relationship with a community of people that will support you and help you succeed. So we're building that more. We already have a Facebook group, which, as I mentioned, is largely people that have taken the training from me over the last couple of years, but we're gradually getting the other ones that have been around even longer to join us. And the skill and expertise available through the whole community is just an amazing thing. So please don't think, if you're thinking about this, don't think about it as just, I'm going to go take a class and then, hopefully, I'll be able to do
Exactly.
something. But that we got you, and that we want to make sure that you that you can do it well and comfortably.
Michael, I know that you will follow through with that because you are so generous and you care so deeply about all of this. But I do want to know, what are the prerequisites for getting into the class? I mean, obviously somebody already has to be a hypnotist, right? You're not teaching somebody how to be a hypnotist, you're teaching them how to train hypnosis.
Well, in fact, I'm so glad you said that, because yes, of course they have to be a hypnotist. They have to have been in practice for a couple of years, and and stuff. One of the things that really I think people think about this class, we're going to give you a training manual to be able to give to your students that has everything that you need in it. We're going to give you a trainer's companion to that manual that has all sorts of notes and insights and stories that you might tell to students, and things like that. But sadly, we can't teach you how to do hypnosis. And, and quite frankly, if you're ready to be a trainer, this is not the time to learn, but so if you've trained in hypnosis, you've been doing it, you've got it down, now you're ready. Maybe for some people might think of this as taking the next step. I don't know. Some people might think of it as fulfilling their vocation. I can't imagine having the information and experience that I have in hypnosis without wanting to, share it and put it out there with other people. So, so that's the reason that some people get into it. So while it isn't a course in hypnosis, now I just said that, but I'm going to give you something else. We are going to sort of check and see there are some sort of cutting edge things, new things that have developed in the last years. The folks in our trainers training have been trained over the years by a variety of different trainers, and they don't all have the same stuff in their background. So we want to make sure that all the key pieces are in place, and we want to be able to offer
Absolutely.
people sort of the latest understandings and developments in the field as well. That's the teaching part that we do about hypnosis. And then the rest of it is about training. We put together presentations. We talk about how to create an audience, how to get an audience, and such things as that. So think about it as a training to become a trainer, because you know how to do hypnosis already. And I think you'll have the idea of what's really there. And the new hypnosis that I'm going to show you, on the other hand, and I know, Karen, you know this, is some really groovy stuff as well, to update your skills. So to make sure you're ready to go. And then again, we're out here in the Facebook group and in the background. And by the way, the Facebook group also includes videos and stuff. We're getting people to submit demonstrations and things that they've done in their classes, so that if you're looking at some technique and thinking, I'd really like to be able to do that with my class, but I don't quite know how to present it, ask a question in the group. We'll show you, and that's another really cool thing about it. So join us.
Well, I want to point out another nuance to this. This is trainer training. So yes, you can use this training, can you not, Michael, to train brand new baby hypnotists to become hypnotists. But you can also use this training to work with a real estate office on how to use hypnotic techniques and languaging to sell houses. Or you can use this training to train CEOs on how to organize a group. This training is to train you to be a trainer.
Well, that's really right. So those of you who have been, like doing hypnosis for the last several years, but really wanting to get into real estate.
I'm just saying that this what
Yeah,
we
exactly.
do can take
Well,
in all sorts of stuff.
Yes, you're exactly right. And one of the things that I encourage people to do, at least, is it isn't just about presenting hypnosis certification courses. It might be, see, we've got all these people at the conference and people doing what we're talking about in this series as well, doing 1-day and 2-day workshops and stuff. This same set of skills obviously applies to that. And when you start, if you're going to become a trainer, you might want to have something more than just your one main training anyway, some things that you can take around and be seen in the world, and will help you and support you in putting that kind of stuff together as well. So absolutely. I want to, Karen, I know you may have another question to ask me, but I'd like to, only because there's such a limited amount of time here, and I'd love to hear a couple people in the audience, if I can, answer for me what I think is the big question, and I wonder if you've been either asking it already or if you have an idea about it. And the question is, what is it that makes a really good trainer? And what I mean is, when you think about your experience, there are programs that you've done that have just been fantastic, and there are programs that you've done that have just, sucked, quite frankly. So what's the thing, if anybody's just willing to just kind of, we can't talk at length about it, but just open your mouth or your microphone and sort of shout out, what's the thing that makes the most difference to you when you attend a training?
Well, I know that Patty Scott's going to have a great idea.
Well, there she is.
To me, it's passion that you can feel from the trainer that's training you, and just knowing the dedication that this is their passion in life, that you feel it.
Absolutely.
Lovely. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I'm so passionate about it. But yeah, exactly right. Anything else that any of you notice? I'll tell you what matters to me. I don't know what, if I look at my history.
Before you spill the secret, can we let Mary Beth say one more thing? I know that you're going to have the master answer here.
Oh, no. Please, Mary Beth, what do you got?
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on that, but
I'm so
I think
happy you did.
it's the rapport or the connection that I feel to the trainer. It's about the passion, definitely, but the hook is I have to feel them. Yeah. And if they know how to do that with an audience, that to me makes a great trainer.
That's great. That is wonderful. It's right on my list. I was just curious to see, are y'all going to say the same things that I think? Anybody else? Another one? Barry.
Trust.
I'm sorry, say it again, please.
Trust in a few levels. I trust the integrity of the person. I trust the competence of the person, and I actually believe that it's going to be what I need as we're going through this.
Great. Absolutely. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And these are, and Michelle, you have your hand up. I can't see you, but I see a hand.
Yes. For me, I would say constructive criticism is just incredibly valuable. Just to hear what the instructor has to say about my technique and how I can improve.
You bet. And I'll tell you, and this is an important part of this too. I think it's a trainer skill, isn't it? That there's a way to give people feedback, and there's a way to make people feel just like they don't know what they're doing and terrible, right? So I think that's really an important part of the skill, is to be able to offer people, insight into what's happening when they're working in a way that makes them feel good and supported. and welcomed. Because see, the other thing is, by the way, I kind of love it when people have problems when they're working this stuff out, because what I've discovered over the years is when you do something perfectly, you don't learn anything. So I've really come to appreciate the value of being able to step back and look and go, here's an area where I could use a little more improvement, or here's here's something that I could embellish or enhance that would really make my program better, or make my information more available to the people that I'm training. So yeah, beautiful. Thank you for that, Michelle.
Renee?
I think it's important that the person be able to give the information in a more colorful way. As if I know all of us have had instructors where by an hour in, you just want to fall asleep. They're smart, they're giving you all this wonderful information, but whoa. And I don't know what word that would be, because I don't really need a charismatic person or whatever, but it's a person who's able to give the information in an interesting way.
And keep you engaged, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. By the way, it's interesting, you said, some people about an hour in and you're ready to fall asleep. Actually, I can even think of some people that do rapid inductions. So about 10 minutes in or 5, so absolutely. How to keep a training lively, how to, all of that stuff is so much an important part of the deal.
So can we get specific a little bit about how the course is laid out? What can someone expect to learn in the Master Trainer program?
Well, they're going to have to listen to me for about 10 minutes, and that will be the rapid induction at the beginning. But as quickly as possible, I'm just going to get them engaged in doing some things that really help bring out of them the principles that that they need to be a good trainer. It's an active thing. It's, by the way, I like to think of it as a retreat. And I know whenever I get together in a group, I need to have some sort of a frame to sort of figure how am I going to carry myself in this? Is this a board meeting, or is it summer camp, or what is the deal? And here we are in this beautiful setting for I'm going to be in a training room for 8 days in a row. So, 5 of them being the master trainer training, we do like 3 days before and 2 days after the weekend of the conference, and then the conference is in the middle of it. By the way, folks, in this class, I'm going to have you pay attention during the weekend of the conference and learn something from somebody and come back and share it with us, so a chance to take something that's new to you and model it out, and be able to put it into a presentation, because I think the quicker that you that you activate or utilize something that you've learned, the better it's gonna be integrated into your training. So anyway, everybody, I really hope you will come to this. If you've got questions about it, you can certainly get more information from me, and you can call IACT. There's a whole big page in the in the book that the guide that tells you all about it. But the other thing, the reason I'm pushing, Karen, and I appreciate your hosting, is because we've only got 6 minutes left. And I also want to mention one other thing, and that is that during the regular weekend, I'm also doing a program on rituals of transformation, is the title of my other talk. So that's a regular part of the conference. And I know when you look at a title like that, it's like, well, what the heck could this possibly be? And metaphorically, I might say that what I'm going to teach people how to do is to facilitate jumping over the broom, for folks for whom that metaphor makes some sense. But I think what it is that we do with our clients is, we've devised all of these techniques and stuff. So many of them are obviously metaphors, like putting your headache in a balloon and, sending it off into outer space, or those sort of things. So this workshop is going to be how to develop techniques on the spot that are absolutely tailored to the client that you're working with, so that you don't have to keep wondering about what to do next. How do we take this presenting issue and create something with it that will be meaningful and provide a transition for that person from the whatever the state it is that they're in to where it is that they want to end up. So so I hope y'all will come to that one as well. And I hope you don't mind me getting a little word in for it here, because it's something I'm really excited about.
Absolutely. It all sounds wonderful. And I'll do a testimonial for him right now. He is a phenomenal trainer. So if you want to learn training, Michael Watson's your guy. He'll be teaching the Master Trainer program it starts on Tuesday for the conference. So 3 days pre and 2 day post. It'll be May 16th, 17th, and 18th. And we've got the conference. And then it'll be again May 22nd and 23rd. And you register right at the registration site. Just as you register for the conference, you can register for the Master Trainer as well. So are there any questions quickly before we let Michael go and roll over into the next event? Was that a thumbs up, Robert, or do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say that we get more compliments off of Michael's trainings than any other trainer that we've ever had doing what he does. And, you know, he's very obviously dedicated to what he does, and he puts everything he has into everything that he does, and it shows by the compliments that we get through his trainings. And I'm going to say that we're absolutely blessed. We are blessed to have Michael on board. We really are. Michael, again, thank you for everything you do, man.
Thank you so much, Robert. It works in both directions. You know, I couldn't do it without you guys either. So hey,
You're a great instructor. You really are, Michael.
thank you.
You have a
Right.
final word, Michael, before we open our microphones and give you the send off that you deserve?
Oh, if you'd like to, yeah, sure.
Well, I would like to. I would like you to open your microphone and tell Michael how much we appreciated this and how much we can't wait to see him at the IACT IMDHA.
Hey, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Way to go, Michael.
You're the
Thank you,
best.
Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
All
You're
right.
the best.
Thank you all very much for attending the presenter series. Suddenly he becomes Santa Claus. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's an next.
Well, yeah, I because now I'm about to change hats. You know, we're at that place in the program where I have done my presenters thing, and now as a co-host of this evening event, I'm the lucky guy who gets to introduce a man that I have known since any of you had cell phones, long before that, since there was an America Online, even. Some of you even remember that. That's like right after the second ice age. And Roy Hunter and I met, God, Roy, it's gotta be 30, almost 30 years ago, I think, in an online chat room when it was still typing at the DOS prompt. About hypnosis and hypnotherapy.
Alt hypnosis, I remember, was the
Exactly.
website.
And it was such,
in the 90s.
yeah. And it was such a joy to get to know, in the early 90s, actually, because I was still in San Francisco. But such a joy to get to know you, and you were such an important part of the hypnosis community, and such an important part of my history of you know, meeting and connecting with other people in this field. So I am honored to introduce Roy Hunter. Really quickly, let me just say Roy is a published author and trainer recognized in America and abroad. His highly praised books are used at hypnosis schools around the world, and he has presented workshops in over 20 countries since 2001. I got to fix my hair if you'll bear with me here. Roy's numerous awards include lifetime achievements from 3 different organizations. He was inducted into the International Hypnosis Hall of Fame for his books, and he is a life diplomat of IMDHA and APHP. So it is my honor and privilege to present to you Roy Hunter, who will talk to you about his parts therapy workshop. Oh my God, I'm feeling a little unprepared.
Post. If you don't mind if I jump in, Michael, he's going to pre and post 2 days ahead of the conference. He'll do parts therapy training, and then 2 days after the conference, he trains the trainer in parts therapy. So it's a 2-part deal. Did I get that right, Roy?
Yes, that
So,
you did.
it will
And
be,
I
thank
might
you,
add that the HypnoExpo is the only place that I do the train the parts therapy trainer in America, although it's been several years since I have done one overseas.
Wow.
And it is possible, is it not, Roy, for someone to take your parts training 2-day pre, attend the conference, and then take the trainer afterwards? Is that true?
It's a prerequisite that you take the parts therapy workshop prior to train the parts therapy trainer. However, if you have already taken my parts therapy workshop in the past, then I waive that prerequisite.
Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Let's just
Okay.
talk about what is parts therapy to begin with. What is parts therapy?
Parts therapy is based on the concept that we all have different aspects of our subconscious, our personality. And for example, Bradshaw was very popular in America in the 20th century. And Bradshaw realized we all have an inner preschooler, an inner child, an inner adolescent. And when we mature, we have an inner adult, an inner parent when we become parents. And for quite a few years, when I would teach parts therapy, I would say, I have all the parts I want, thank you, God, because there was some hypnosis instructor who was teaching that we should create new parts. And I didn't want any new parts, but whoa, we develop these parts as we go through the timeline of life. So when one of my twin daughters gave birth to my first grandchild, I had a new part, an inner grandpa.
Right.
So the first time we get in a fight as a child or a toddler, we probably have an inner protector at that point. So in parts therapy, we can call out that part of the person that wants to overcome the presenting problem and call out that part of the subconscious that is causing the presenting problem. And I act as a mediator. Charles Tebbets was a pioneer of parts therapy, and contemporary with Charlie were John and Helen Watkins, who developed what they called ego state therapy, which is based on the same concept. And for years, I thought it would be nice to meet Gordon Emerson sometime. Then in 2007, I had the privilege of teaching parts therapy in Melbourne, Australia. Guess who was in my audience? Gordon Emerson with several of his ego state graduates. So it was like reconnecting with an old friend rather than meeting somebody new.
Yeah.
Gordon is a licensed clinical psychologist and a published author of several books. And I was very happy that he wrote the preface to The Art of Hypnotic Regression Therapy, a clinical guide that I co-authored with Bruce Eimer, who is also an IMDHA member, as well as a licensed clinical psychologist.
Well, and Roy, you are the man about this. You know, that is, people all over the world know about you. They know that it's your work, and you know, and I understand. I'd love for you to share with people. I know I've heard the story before, but you have an association with Charles Tebbets, and you have continued his work. I'm a little interested in how, not just a little, I'm quite interested. I didn't mean to say it that way. In how that came about, how you sort of inherited Charles's work, and if you've done anything to change it in any way, you know, as the years have gone by.
I'll be happy to address all of the above. For starters, 4 years into the profession, Charlie asked me if I would consider teaching his course. And I said, Charlie, I've only been in the profession 4 years. I am not qualified to teach. He said, Hunter, I know a good teacher when I see one. And I said, well, I'm not ready to say yes. He said, then think about it, pray about it. Don't say yes, don't say no, but get back to me within a month. So with my Christian background, I agreed to pray about it. But then I asked God for a sign, but my past religious experience was, you don't ask God for signs. But I knew I needed a sign because I really didn't feel like I was ready to start teaching. But I was doing evening self-hypnosis classes at Tacoma Community College in Tacoma, Washington. So I said, okay, God, if I'm supposed to teach, then let me sell Tacoma Community College. Let me sell my department chair on the concept. And then she called me and asked me if she could buy dinner for me prior to my next class. She wanted to run an idea by me. And I chickened out. I decided I wasn't going to ask her. Guess what the idea was? She said, would you consider teaching a hypnosis certification course for the adult continuing education department at the college? That was the answer to my prayer. So, and that was less than a week after talking to Charlie about it. So the following week I told him yes. And then in the fall of 1987, I taught Charlie's 9-month course at Tacoma Community College. And I'm not certain, but several people have told me that that was the first community college in America to have a professional hypnosis certification course. And I set it up with the college so that they would give Charlie a percentage of the tuition, because I was teaching his course using his materials from Miracles on Demand, and also course materials that he wrote. I updated them, and then eventually wrote The Art of Hypnosis and The Art of Hypnotherapy as textbooks to accompany the course in the college. And prior to his passing, Charlie asked me if I would continue his work. And out of the thousands of people he trained in his lifetime, he asked me to continue his work with parts therapy as well as this whole course. So that's how it happened.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Roy, this is what we were talking about earlier. I got a copy of The Art of Hypnosis from you. I wonder if you remember this as a Microsoft Word file. It would either it wasn't yet published. I'm not quite sure if that's the case, or it was still really very early and very new, and you were so generous to share that. And all of my students know about this book. It is kind of an entry place for so many people, and it was really useful for me. There's no question about it. So back to parts therapy now.
Thank you.
I want to sort of combine two questions, if you'll indulge me, only
Okay.
because our time is so short. But what can you tell us about how the process works, and what makes parts therapy different than similar techniques?
Well, to start with, I made a major update because Charlie, if any of you have one of his old books, he talked about what he called the Great Debate, because Charlie would act like an arbitrator. He would listen to both the part causing the presenting problem and the part wanting to overcome the presenting problem. And then he would tell the parts what to do and debate with each part. I'm not a good debater. Charlie was a debate champion when he was in school. So I had several sessions go south. So the first update I made on Charlie's parts therapy was to be a mediator instead of an arbitrator. And I've made a few more updates through the years, minor updates, but basically the protocol that I started 40 years ago has passed the test of time. But just like there's more than one way to go from Los Angeles to New York, you can fly, you can take a train, you can drive the southern route, or you can drive through Colorado, or you can drive the northern route. The destination is more important than the journey. So parts therapy isn't the only similar technique that can get results, but the protocol that I have used has passed the test of time. And during my parts therapy workshop, I briefly overview several similar variations, such as ego state therapy. And then after Gordon Emerson took my parts therapy class, he liked the fact that I put a step-by-step process in. So being the scientist with an analytical mind, he evolved ego state therapy into what he now calls resource therapy, which makes my 11-step protocol look simple by comparison. But there are others who've also done similar variations. And then I learned in the 21st century that there was somebody who was pioneering a variation of parts therapy that he called subliminal therapy. And I learned that when I got an email from Crown House Publishing, my current publisher of The Art of Hypnosis and The Art of Hypnotherapy, as well as my parts therapy text. His name was Dr. Edwin Yeager, and he was in the psychiatry department at the University of San Diego. And apparently, because he was familiar with my work, he asked Crown House to let me read a pre-publication copy of subliminal therapy. He wasn't either a mediator nor an arbitrator. He would call out that part of his patient that was most closely connected to the highest wisdom, knowledge, understanding, training, and experience. And he called that part centrum because it was the center of the client's wisdom and intelligence, etc. And he would ask centrum to arbitrate with the parts. And he got results. He documented those results. And when I had the privilege of meeting Edwin Yeager in person, I found out that even though he didn't identify that in his book, he was pioneering spiritual hypnosis because many of his patients told him that they believed centrum was higher self or God or guardian angel or spirit guide or Christ or Yahweh. And he said, I dare not put that in my textbook because academia wouldn't have comfort accepting it.
Wouldn't
And-
those just be additional parts, Roy?
Pardon?
Wouldn't those just be additional parts?
Well, yes. And I talk about spiritual parts therapy the last 2 hours of day 2 of my parts therapy workshop because I discovered it by accident. In the mid 1980s, a lady saw me for weight management, and the part causing her to overeat was not willing to let me mediate. It was totally uncooperative. It was angry as all get out at the motivating part, the part that motivated her to invest her time and money for my sessions. And the stress was obviously apparent in both parts. They were so angry that you could almost feel the anger. So I was very analytical at Charlie's course, but one of my first sessions after finishing his course was to have one of my fellow students help me develop intuition, because you can't always do everything by the book. So I did my peaceful place trigger, which is thumb to middle finger. And I said, okay, take a deep breath and go way down into a deep hypnotic peace. And as I'm doing that, I am silently asking God for some intuition to guide me as to what happens next. And then I recalled that 3 weeks earlier in the intake, she mentioned she was very involved in her church. So realizing that, flashing back on that, purely on intuition, I said, whatever part of you is most closely connected to God or Christ or Holy Spirit, for your highest and best good, please come forward. And when you are willing to speak, either move the yes finger or say the words, I am here. And then after stress being blatantly obvious in a goddess-like voice, I am here. And I said, thank you. What name or title shall I call you? And the response was, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit told the other two parts what to do. Her inner conflict was resolved within minutes. And that's how I discovered spiritual parts therapy.
Right. So Roy, this is really, fascinating, esoteric, alternative stuff. I guess what I'm wondering is, what do the people in mainstream medicine and therapy think about this?
Well, I was very reluctant even to discuss it in my class at Tacoma Community College in the 80s and also in the 90s. And by the middle of the 90s, I happened to mention it to the late Arthur Winkler and his wife, Pam, when I was having lunch with them. And Pam Winkler said, "Roy, you need to write a book about that." And of course, I immediately flashed back on when I met Orman McGill in the mid 80s. One day after meeting me, Orman said, "Roy, when are you going to write books? It's your life path to write books for the hypnosis profession." I didn't believe him then. I do now, but I don't know how he knew.
Yeah.
So that's been one of my unanswered mysteries for decades,
Well,
3.5 decades.
Ormond is an unanswered mystery for many of us, Roy. What a lovely thing for you. Yeah.
He claimed he knew me in a number of past lives and had conscious memories of it, but you know, I find it amazing that someone can have conscious memories of several past lives. But he claimed he knew me in several past lives. At any rate, though I didn't believe him then, I believe him now, because after being inducted into the International Hypnosis Hall of Fame for my written contributions to the profession, it was obviously my life path to write books for it. And anyway, getting back to the parts therapy aspect, it was not easily acceptable in the 20th century to talk about spiritual hypnosis mainstream. And I was even reluctant to talk about it at conferences. And then a year later, I think it was at NGH conference, but I'm not certain which conference it was. I ran into Art and Pam again, and Pam Winkler said, "Roy, you need to bring that out of the closet." I said, "Pam, I don't think people are ready for that yet." And she urged me to bring it out of the closet. So when I taught parts therapy in Dublin, Ireland in 1999, I finally brought it out of the closet. And there were over 40 people at that workshop. And the enthusiasm was, to my total surprise, unanimous. And then I started, from then on, every time I would teach parts therapy, I would offer to teach spiritual parts therapy, which I now call Spirit Trek, the last couple hours of day 2 of the parts therapy workshop. And only once did the majority vote against it. And that was at an NGH parts therapy conference. And why shouldn't that surprise me? But at any rate, I have been very pleased to see a greater percentage of people in our profession be very open-minded to it than in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And one thing really surprised me. I learned years ago when I had this book published. A year later, the London College of Clinical Hypnosis invited me to teach a 2-day parts therapy masterclass. And that was a very successful workshop. There were over 40 professionals in the room, psychologists, psychotherapists, hypnotherapists. And I was very aware that the psychotherapists were not labeling the hypnotherapists as lay hypnotists. But I did learn from that the LCCH, which is considered one of the most prestigious hypnosis schools in the world because they teach doctors and psychologists, but even if they have a doctoral degree, they still have to go through many months of training. And I learned from them that if someone only has a 2-week crash course or less, which is very common with a particular organization that we all know of, they're called cowboy hypnotists. They're not called lay hypnotists, but even someone with a doctoral degree would be called a cowboy hypnotist. And because I was a member of NGH, I almost got canceled 1 month before my workshop. The saving grace was that I was a member of both IMDHA and also the APHP. And since Terrence Watts is respected in the UK. That was my saving grace, and I was allowed to do the workshop. And the elite hypnosis training school that's recognized even in Singapore, because I had the privilege years ago of being sent to Singapore to teach parts therapy for the psychiatry department of one of the major hospitals in Singapore. And one of the psychiatrists himself picked me up at the airport and shuttled me to and from the hotel to the presentation site. They were well familiar with the LCCH. So not only did I have the privilege of teaching parts therapy in 2006, in January of this year, the LCCH contacted me again and asked me to teach parts therapy. And the last 2 days, the last 2 hours of day 2, I taught the Spirit Trek. I was skeptical of whether I should even mention it, but they were enthusiastic about it. They were so enthusiastic about it that they weren't satisfied with 2 hours, so they have hired me to teach a full day workshop on spiritual parts therapy on May 13th. It'll be the wee hours for me, but that to me is very encouraging, because I'm thrilled to see mainstream become more open-minded about the fact that there's more than what we see in the physical reality we live in.
You know, Roy, you've been all over the place with this, and the thing that's interesting, I'm noticing 2 things I want to mention. You know, the UK gave us Braid and Esdale, you know, and of course Terrence Watts, Roy mentioned, and has given accolades to Roy Hunter, you know, as well. And it's such a lovely place to train. I spent a whole lot of time there, and now sadly, Roy, when they want you to train, it's like the wee hours for you, because this Zoom thing that we all love so much means we don't get to go there like we always used to. I'd rather be jet lagged and actually be in the place. But where else? So you've taken this all over the world. Where else have you trained parts therapy?
I have trained in, I'll just name some of the countries. I don't know if I can remember them all at the top of my head, but I have taught parts therapy in Australia on a couple of occasions. I have taught parts therapy in New Zealand, and also was awarded the Presenter of the Year award at their annual conference in New Zealand. And I have taught parts therapy in South Africa. I have taught parts therapy in Singapore twice, and once was for the psychiatry department of one of their major hospitals. And I have taught parts therapy in England several times. I have taught parts therapy in Ireland several times. I have taught parts therapy in Iceland several times. And in fact, I'm doing a 2-day regression workshop on Zoom for Iceland next month. So that'll be in the wee hours for me.
Well, if you don't mind, I want to bring us back to Orlando for just a moment, because we get the privilege of having you right here in our own country, right here at our own conference.
In person.
And we'll do the 2-day pre-conference will be parts therapy as such. So I want to get into the post-conference in a moment, but Roy, if you would, just give me a quick rundown of what to expect in that parts therapy workshop, the 2-day pre-conference.
I will start out by overviewing what parts therapy is, the fact that we all have parts. And then I will spend a little time discussing the variations, because I believe anyone who practices parts therapy should understand that there are other variations, because on occasion a client might have experienced one of the variations and ask you about it. So it's good to know at least an overview of the most common variations, such as ego state therapy, resource therapy, subliminal therapy, 6-step reframe, and internal family systems, etc.
They're all
And in
very,
fact, Virginia Satir had what she called a parts party. And the 6-step reframe is like a grandchild of the parts party.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've taken your training, Roy, and I know it's very well organized, very well done. I appreciate it. I want to be very clear about one thing. If
Okay,
someone has taken your parts therapy training elsewhere, or if they take the 2-day pre-conference at IACT, they are qualified to then stay the 2 extra days after the conference and take the post-conference, correct?
that is correct.
You can
But
go straight
if
to
they
the
have not
full-
taken my parts therapy training previously, they must take the pre-conference as well as a post-conference, with
I
very
just want to
few
make sure for
exceptions.
anybody on the call that they can go from one to the other. They can take the pre-conference and then go right
Absolutely.
away
Take
to
take both.
Yes, great.
Right.
And a very nice succinct weekend. What a great
Yeah.
thing. Thank you, Roy.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for taking my workshop in the past.
You know, I've taken all of them. There was a time I thought I was going to be president of Roy Hunter's fan club.
Oh,
I took
oh,
every.
oh, bless you, Karen. I didn't realize you were that much of a fan of mine. I feel
Oh,
blessed.
we've known each other. We go way back, Roy. So I just want to make it clear to all of y'all that, and there's a little bit of my Southern coming out, the pre-conference will be, oh, I had it right here in front of me. There it is. It will be Wednesday and Thursday, the 17th and
Correct.
18th, and that is client-centered parts therapy.
Correct.
Then, if you're already trained, or if you want to stay over, the post-conference will be Monday and Tuesday, the 22nd and 23rd, and that is train the parts therapy trainer. You can do
That's
it all
correct.
in one weekend, and it would be a really good time. What an effective way to spend your time. Not only is it good therapy, but then you go home and you can train other people to do this great work too.
At
That's pretty good.
IMDHA Annual HypnoExpo is the only place I offer the train the parts therapy trainer.
Great.
Thank you for doing it for us.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Robert Otto and I go back decades.
Roy,
We met at,
I met you in the early 1980s at the International Hypnosis Hall of Fame Conference at the
Yep.
Imperial Palace in Las Vegas. And I think that was around 1982. And we've been like brothers ever since then. And again, in doing what you do, we're actually honored to have you on board with us.
oh, well,
And
thank
also
you.
would like to mention that due to Roy Hunter, IMDHA has become affiliated with the London College of Clinical Hypnosis. We now have instructors teaching there who are members of our organization. And again, hats off to Roy. He gets all the credit for that. I wasn't even aware of it. Roy called me and told me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I was flabbergasted pleasantly to find out that when a professional enrolls in hypnosis course at the London College of Clinical Hypnosis, they get a copy of The Art of Hypnosis as a textbook. And I don't know how long the LCCH has been doing that, but I was pleased and grateful beyond words.
Yeah.
They don't have their students buy them. They buy the books wholesale and give a free copy of The Art of Hypnosis to every student who takes hypnosis at their school. So I don't know how many doctors and psychologists and psychotherapists have gotten a copy of The Art of Hypnosis at the LCCH. And that's credibility for that textbook in capital letters. So Charles Tebbets, Charlie, thank you for what you did to this profession.
Yeah.
And Roy, thank you for what you're doing for IMDHA. Thank you so much.
You're
You're a
welcome.
stand-up kind of guy.
It's an honor and a privilege, Robert.
Thank you.
And thank you also, Roy, for just being a pioneer and the source for so many people. You know, your books really were the beginning for a lot of folks, particularly The Art of Hypnosis and The Art of Hypnotherapy. So, the whole profession can't thank you enough. And isn't it cool that IACT and IMDHA has access to people like Roy Hunter to get access to our members.
And if you've never
You
been to
just
the
gave me
conference,
goosebumps.
if
Thank you.
you've never been to the conference, let me tell you a secret. Roy always has a table where he has his books, and he diligently sits at that table the entire conference, and you are always welcome to come up and chat with him, talk to him, and he will actually talk to you, answer questions, have conversations with you. He makes himself available. That's just another perk of going to the IACT IMDHA HypnoExpo.
Well, hypnotherapy isn't just a career, it's a life path. That's my passion. And even though I work almost full-time caregiving for my loving wife, she knows I'll always keep my foot in the hypnosis profession as long as I'm alive and able.
So Roy will be found at his table, and Karen and I will probably be found in the lobby bar. And we're looking forward to seeing you all at conference. Roy, I hate to say goodbye so quickly. We've got an hour format this time. So you and I have been put to task to do it in a half an hour. I think we did a great job, Roy. I know that they have certainly learned that you've got some great stuff to offer. You've already given them some good ideas about it. And so everybody, Roy Hunter.
Before we terminate, can I answer a question or two if anyone wants a question?
Okay.
Do we have time?
Well, we're already a couple minutes over, but if anybody's got a quick question and they want to do it, why not? Sure. Anybody? Something for Roy?
I think you covered it, Roy, and I think what we want to do is tease them to come and ask you in person at the conference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And don't forget, HypnoExpo, May 19th, 20th, and 21st in Orlando. We want to see you there next week on the Presenters Series. Also on Wednesday night, we'll have Monica Gear's Doll, and we'll have Karen Hand and my partner Sherry Gilbert talking about the magic of metaphor. So join us next week for a sneak peek of yet another pre-conference event.
And for
Karen,
any of
thank you
you
for all
who
that you
are
do.
wavering about whether or not to go to IMDHA, I have been to scores of hypnosis conferences during my career, and IMDHA always has quality presenters.
Amen.
Thank you, Karen.
In Orlando. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, everybody. And
Thank you, everyone.
now anybody wants to open up the microphone if you haven't, and
Big
give a
send
shout
off.
out to Roy Hunter and thank him for being here. And we will see you next week.
Thank
Practice
you.
long
Thank you,
approach for
Roy.
everyone.
Thank you, Roy.
Roy. Thank you,
Bless
Michael.
you.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Good night, everyone. See you next time.